Welcome to yet another edition of the Stats and Stacks podcast. Where today we're going over UFC Paris Gane versus Tuivasa. First things first, make sure you give this video a like. Make sure you give it a subscribe. Follow over on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Every social media platform. We're taking over one at a time. Again, there's no review of last week's card. There was no card. We did hit the contender series the past two Tuesdays and have been successful, man. A lot of these fights are very, very low level, 50-50 fights, but one of them is a plus 200 dog and one of them is a minus 300 favorite. Just take the dog in a 50-50 fight, and it is paying off tremendously. Also, Tomek, don't worry. I know I will fix the video quality. This is the last time. Got busy this week. I will make sure to get it done by next week. You can hold me to it. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and hop into this card. Only a 12-fight offering. Do not forget it starts early this week, 12 p.m. start time for these fights, Eastern time. So it's going to be an early one. It'll be done relatively early in the day. You can still go out afterwards, enjoy yourselves. I know it's the biggest weekend of drafts. So if you go straight from UFC into a fantasy draft, I know I have one of each. I know I have a draft at like 2 in the afternoon while the fights are going on. So there's going to be a lot happening this weekend. It's going to be a fun weekend. Let's get it. But again, there's only 5 or 12 fights. Let's go ahead and jump right into this with the very first fight of the night. We're actually looking at Aline Perez going up against Stephanie Egger. Perez as a plus 245 dog in her debut against Stephanie Egger at minus 295. Over under not set yet. Solely on the fact this is a short notice fight for Stephanie Egger. We'll start with Perez. She's not very good, to be 100% honest with you. I have no idea what her striking's like because I did fight tape. As I did it, I did not see her striking whatsoever. As soon as the bell rings, she runs to the middle of the octagon and grabs a body lock. As soon as she does, she muscles you down to the ground, has a pretty decent top game, pretty good jiu-jitsu game, and will either ground and pound you or will submit you down there. She has a 100% finish rate, I'm pretty certain. Yeah, no. She went to the distance twice. My apologies. And it says she has a loss on here. She does not. It is a disqualification. She didn't go out there and lose. She went out there and got herself DQ'd. Again, she's only 27, pretty young, learning. My issue is that every single one of her takedowns was a body lock takedown that I saw. I did not see her shoot doubles. I did not see her shoot singles. I did not see anything other than a body lock takedown. The issue is that she's fighting Stephanie Egger. Stephanie Egger is not a young prospect. She's 34 years old. And the reason she's only 7-3, being 34, is because she spent a lot of her time as a judoku practitioner. She is a judo black belt. What do judos have? Good hips. And where do they get these throws? From the clinch. So if Perez is going to run in and body lock Egger right away, that is her dream. She doesn't have to grab you and get you there. Perez is going to put herself in that situation, and she is going to be sent flying all night long. It is going to be airmail after airmail with Egger. If not, Perez is going to have to stand. And Egger is not a good striker by any means, but she will have a 3-inch reach advantage. She will most likely have the wrestling advantage. The ground game, you can just say it's a wash, but Egger is going to be the one on top. I'm yet to see Perez off her back. Perez is a can crusher. She's only beaten one person with a winning record. Egger is taking this on short notice. And if you remember her, if the name sounds familiar, she is the one with the phantom tap against Mayra Bueno Silva less than a month ago. But I think that's part of the reason she's taking this fight. She wants to get that taste out of her mouth. She claims she didn't tap. We all know that Mayra would have snapped her arm in half if they didn't stop it anyway. But luckily they stopped it. She gets to fight another day, and she gets to fight really, really soon here. She gets to fight on Saturday, and she should absolutely kill Perez. I did want to make Egger a lock, but I can't, because there's 2 things we said we will never do again: low-level women's MMA, low-level heavyweight. I will not make either of those locks. I learned from my Jared Vandera and other people experience. I will not do it, and this is low-level women's MMA. So the pick is Egger. I will have her in some parlays as well. I feel pretty comfortable in her. Next fight of the night, we're looking at Christian Quiones. It's a plus 105 dog against Khalid Taha at minus 135. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 at minus 165. Under 2.5 at plus 135. These lines are flipping to where last time I checked, there was a straight pick 'em between the two. I don't think that's right. I don't think Khalid Taha is necessarily the greatest fighter in the world. He has pretty low volume, but his striking's not bad. He's pretty hittable, but he hits extremely hard when he hits you. He's durable as all hell. I'm determined. I don't think you can physically knock this guy out. And his cardio seems to check out. I know his very first career loss in Risen was mainly because he gassed out and then just got submitted in the third round. But that's the only time we've ever seen that. Now, speaking of seeing things from Taha, we also saw Taha look phenomenal against Bruno Silva. But Bruno Silva, one, is a flyweight. Two, Taha was on the juice. Taha tested positive, and Taha had to take a little bit of an absence. His next fight was a year later, and he wound up fighting Hani Barcelos and getting beat pretty handedly. And then his next fight getting taken down left and right against Sergey Morozov. Now, here's the issue. Taha's not bad. He just has pretty low volume. Otherwise, is it the fact that he's no longer on the juice, which is the reason he's on a 2-fight losing streak? Or is it because the guys he were fighting were good? I think both of those fighters are good. I will lean that side, but the juice definitely has something to do with it. On the flip side, you have someone that needs juice because Christian Quiones does not hit very, very hard. He's one of these Dana White Contender Series guys. It's not a Dana White Contender Series fade because he's not the favorite. He's technically the dog or a pick'em, but he likes to counter, man. He loves for you to come in, and he likes to counter strike a lot. He has pretty good volume. He himself is pretty hittable. He got hit. He gets hit more than he dishes out. But in retrospect, he's only 26 years old, so he's at that age where you're going to see constant improvement. My concern with him is that he's 16-3, and all 3 of his losses he got finished. He got choked out in his last fight in Combate in his last loss, and then the first 2 were knockouts. And that's concerning to me because even his Dana White Contender Series fight, he got rocked into the stanky leg a little bit, didn't know where he was, recovered, and came back and won the fight. But we're seeing instances of him getting put away, of him getting rocked and getting hurt considerably. I keep saying there are these guys that keep getting dropped and eventually are going to get put out. And one of the guys I said that about was Usman, and that happened just 2 weeks ago. Is this going to be Quiones' time? Maybe, because Taha hits pretty damn hard. He just doesn't throw enough. But level of competition, Taha all day. The fact that it's Quiones' debut, I'm going to have to take Taha all day, being a vet. It's a 50. It's not even really that 50-50. I would probably lean 60-40 Taha, and in that instance, that's where I'm going to lean. So the pick is going to be Taha. The bet is going to be Taha. And I don't know if I'll have him in parlays or just bet him straight up. It's just going to be a pick 'em. I'll just take the straight up price. Someone that I will put in parlays, but not Benoit Saint Denis at minus 275, going up against Gabriel Miranda at plus 210. Over under set at 1.5. Over 1.5 minus 105. Under 1.5 minus 125. Let's start with Miranda because honestly, I think Miranda's kind of ass. He is 32 years old, making his debut. That's a red flag. He's coming in on short notice. That's a red flag. His striking is non-existent. I've seen him throw some hooks with his chin straight up in the air and his hands very, very low. It looks like he is no striking whatsoever. Now, don't get me wrong. I do like that he's at MMA Masters with like Colby Covington. It's a camp that's on the rise a little bit. And his wrestling is not good, but I think his jiu-jitsu is phenomenal. I think he's a very, very good jiu-jitsu practitioner. He is a black belt. He does have most of his wins by submission, and he's very active off his back. He will pull guard. He's one of these guys to where he can't wrestle that well, so he needs it on the floor no matter what, by any means necessary, and he will literally pull you on top of him to make sure we hit the ground. It's concerning, but when you're that good on the ground, it's fine. You can get away with it. But part of the reason he can get away with it, because when you look at these records, I mean, 6-0, 0-8, 2-1, 1-3, 0-7, 0-0, 1-3, 0-1. He's not fighting the best competition. Now look at his losses: 1-1, 1-1, 22-19, 11-4, 4-0. It looks like if you have a winning record, you beat this guy. If you have a losing record, you lose. That's just simply how it looks. And on the flip side, Benoit does have a winning record. Now, he's also 26, so he's in that age where you'll see constant and quick improvement. I think where the improvement needs to be is in a stand-up. His stand-up is not very good. We saw Alessio Zaleski beat him within an inch of his life, and I wish it was sarcasm, but I'm actually not being facetious by any means. It was very, very ugly. Getting the ref thrown out the arena because he didn't stop the fight because it was that bad of a beating. Benoit has no quit in him. He's a former special ops for the country of France, where this fight card is being held. We have a hometown kid here. He's also very good on the ground. So Gabriel's only route to victory is by submission, and Benoit is well versed on the ground. He will have the wrestling advantage. And even though I just talked about how much he got beat up, he will have the striking advantage because at least I've seen it and he has some experience doing it. Gabriel just pulls guard. So Benoit has the cardio, the striking, the wrestling advantage, and the jiu-jitsu is a wash. That's a lot of positives for Benoit. That's the way I'm going to lean. That's the person I might make a lock. I'm still on the fence. This is not high level. This is also low level, but it's low level lightweight, not low level heavyweight, a little easier to predict. So the pick is going to be Benoit. The bet is going to be Benoit. Next fight of the night is another one that I also considered locking. We have Nasruddin Imavov as a minus 265 favorite going up against the one and only Joaquin Buckley at plus 205. Over under set at 1.5 as well. Over 1.5 minus 175. Under 1.5 plus 140. Let's start with Imavov. Yes, he's Russian. Would you see the last name? And yes, he lives in France. Look at the first name, Nasruddin, another hometown kid. He is one that's training with Cyril Gane over at Fight Factory or MMA Factory Paris. He's decent, man. He's a little bit of a generalist. He's not super amazing anywhere, but he's not bad anywhere. His wrestling's okay. I can see him get taken down often. Shabazian got him down. Ian Heinisch got him down. Phil Hawes got him down. But he has a pretty decent get-up game. His cardio is pretty good. He locked in a lot of front chokes against Shabazian and Heinisch. He's pretty good on the ground. And his striking's pretty good. He doesn't carry a ton of power. But all in all, he's pretty good, though, on the feet, pretty solid, just an overall general. I can't find one spot he's bad at, but he's just not an expert anywhere. But he's 26, and we see the improvements. I mean, that Phil Hawes fight, Imavov, compared to the Edmund Shabazian Imavov are two completely different people. On the flip side, we're looking at Joaquin Buckley, who I don't think is very good either. Joaquin Buckley is known for that spinning back kick knockout. If that knockout never happened, Buckley probably would have been cut by now. In all honesty, he has a decent amount of power, but he's not really a middleweight. He used to fight at welterweight, and I think he should still be at welterweight in all honesty. He's 28 years old, so you can see some improvements, and it looks like we saw it in his last fight against Albert Duraev. But in retrospect, they did train together, so he kind of knew what he was getting himself into. I don't know if that played into it at all. He definitely lost the first round, came on in the second, and then the eye swelled up. He won the first round. Duraev started picking it up in the second. And I think part of that is because, one, Buckley's cardio was not very good. We saw him slow down in the Razak Hassan fight. We saw him slow down in the Arroyo fight. We saw him get knocked out early in the DiCirico fight. He's not very good. It's his cardio. It slowed down in the Kevin Holland fight. He did take that one on short notice, so I'll give him slack. But I can't give him slack about his 160% takedown defense in the UFC, because out of all the names I just read, only one of them actually wrestle. So you should not be getting taken down multiple times by Alassane. You should not be getting taken down by Impa. You should not be getting taken down by any of these guys, in all honesty. Even Duraev is a little bit of a fraud. And the other thing you can't fake is your chin. And I'm looking at it here. He has 4 career losses, and he has a knockout against Chirico, Holland, and gosh, Logan Storley's not bad over in Bellator, so I'll give him a pass there. But the other guy also knocked him out. So he has 4 losses, and 3 of them are by knockout. He also got rocked in the Jordan Wright fight, got rocked in the Alassane fight. He gets rocked a lot, man. His chin is not good. He's very chinny, and I think part of that is his cardio. So if you tell me one guy has good cardio, the other guy does not. The wrestling is a wash. One guy is better on the ground, and the striking is a wash. Give me the guy with the cardio. So the pick is going to be Imavov. I might bet him, especially with him being the hometown guy. I might lock him there, but I don't know. I have some decisions to make, and I'll definitely at least have him in a bet in some parlays. Speaking of hometown guys, we have our next fight of the night. We have Faraz Ziem at plus 160 going up against Michael Figlak at minus 205. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 is minus 290. Under 2.5 plus 230. Let's start with Faraz Ziem because you're not seeing things. You're not seeing a ghost like Sam Darnold. He is here. He's only 25 years old, and he is the guy that was just recently cooked by the UFC. The issue is they cut him, realized they had a promotion go into Paris, and they only have like three French fighters on their roster. So they needed to scramble and get somebody. So why not call up the guy they just cut like a month ago? And Faraz is back just like that, baby. Again, 25 years old, so you'll see some improvement. Very low volume. Don't like that. The striking is good, but he just lulls you to sleep, man. He hits you with jabs, defends nicely, but it's like all of his explosive stuff is just him defending. All his explosive offensive stuff is non-existent. The issue with him is that he has zero ground game. Looking at his losses, he has 4 losses, and 3 of them are by submission. That's not a good look. Secondly, his takedown defense. It's improving, but it's still not the greatest. And lastly, he seemed to struggle when Luigi Vendramini came in and pressured him. Here's the issue with someone that might slow down a little bit, doesn't like pressure, and has no ground game. He's fighting someone where all they do is pressure and move forward. The ground game's okay. He doesn't have any submissions on his record, but he has a pretty strong, powerful top game. He does stay on top there. All in all, he has 2 career losses in the amateur scene. And one of them was a very close contested one to Jack Shore. And we all know Jack Shore is very good. Again, he's 26, so you'll see him getting better. It is his debut, so I'm not a fan of that, especially with Faraz being from France. But all he does, he has decent striking and he moves forward. He's undefeated, so he's confident. And then we saw Ziem crack under pressure. And that's all this kid does. And he has very good cardio, and he'll pressure you the entire time. Coming over from Cage Warriors, we saw people like Paddy Pimblett, Conor McGregor come from Cage Warriors, decent. And right now, Poland is on a roll in the UFC. So we have another Polish pressure fighter coming in to get another W. The pick is going to be Figlak. The bet is going to be Figlak. And was, again, this close to locking, but just not 100% certain. Honestly, it sounds nuts, but I can say the same thing about this next fight here. We have Air Charles Jourdain. No, we don't. I am so sorry. We skipped over. They did change the order on some of these fights a little bit. We have Dustin Stolfus as a plus 200 dog going up against Absakin. Sorry, I can't really say his name. Absupolian Magomedov as a minus 260 favorite. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 is minus 115. Under 2.5 minus 115. Straight pick 'em. Let's start with Magomedov. He's someone that has a career over in the PFL, is where I watched most of his fights. He's okay at wrestling on paper. Technically, he's from Dagestan, moved over to Germany, and apparently his wrestling was okay, but it's not something he leans on. When I watch his fight, I see a lot of striking, and it's pretty good. It's pretty fast. He loves to move forward. He'll have a 3-inch reach advantage here. He's 31 years old and has a wealth of experience. So he's not one of these like 8-0 kids that are coming in, and fighting for the first time in the UFC in front of all the bright lights. He's fought in PFL. He's fought on the regional scene. He's fought at KSW. Like, he's fought at some pretty decent places prior to the UFC. So he has plenty of experience. All in all, he's a little bit of a generalist as well, but he's not bad, especially 31. This is probably the part of the prime of his career. If he's going to do the damn thing, he's going to do it now. On the flip side, we have Dustin Stolfus, who might have a little bit of a cardio issue, has a pretty good ground game. It's very underrated, jiu-jitsu black belt. His wrestling's okay. It's not good. It's good enough against very low-level fighters like Dwight Grant. GM3 is 0 wrestling whatsoever. It's not terrible. Now he is pretty hittable. His striking's pretty terrible, and he's just physically slow. Like he's durable. He's very hard to pit away. Even most of these people that he's losing to in the third round are choking him. They're not necessarily beating him up and just knocking him out. It's just, I don't know, man. He has a good ground game, but if he can't get it to the ground, it comes down to who is the better wrestling in this matchup. I can't say confidently one is better than the other. I can say if it's a wash and they're forced to stand, that Magomedov is going to kill him on the feet. If it's on the ground, Stolfus will have the advantage, but I can't guarantee he just goes out there and taps him out right away. So the pick is going to be Magomedov, and the bet is going to end up being Magomedov as well, probably in some parlays. And then we get over to the main event of the prelims with Charles Jourdain at minus 145 going up against Nathaniel Witt at plus 115. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 155. Under 2.5 plus 125. Let's start with Charles Jourdain. He's someone that is growing on me. At first, I thought he was a little overhyped, but I think the kid's good, man. He has good striking, very high volume, very good ground game we don't see often. Wrestling, not so much. You can take this guy at ease. He only has a 51% takedown defense, so that's not a good look. But he's also only 26, someone we're going to see get better and better each time we see him. And I think that last fight he got robbed against Shane Burgos. I had parlays with Shane Burgos. I had Shane Burgos as a lock. I thought it was going to be an easy win for him. And I think Jourdain won and got screwed. But we're also seeing the evolution of Jourdain. As he gets older, the better he's getting. Julian Erosa was able to break him with that pressure and that constant work. I understand that. Andre Feely, not bad. Does Green, not bad. TJ Laramie, not bad. He does not have a single bad loss on his record. One of them is a little controversial. Two of them are actually controversial. There's two splits. One up a weight class on short notice, and then Juicy J broke him. So that's about all we got. On the flip side, we had TJ, and one in the regional scene against TJ Laramie, who's also pretty good. So not a bad loss there. He's overall a very, very good fighter, only improving. On the flip side, we have Nathaniel Wood, who also is kind of a young guy that's doing pretty well here. He's only 29. He's a little older than I thought. He is good striking. My issue with him is that he's a former 135-pounder. He's very, very, very fast. He's very technical. I do think he's the better striker, but he does have a tendency to slow down a little bit. Casey Kenny took over in the third round. John Dodson knocked him out in the third round. Allen knocked him out or finished him in the third round. All in all, God, a rear naked choke in the third round. If you're going to beat this guy, if you go to round 3, he needs to be shitting his pants. And he even slowed down in his last win against one-legged Charles Rosa in the third round. So I wouldn't say he has a cardio issue, especially with like the amount of volume he throws. It's pretty high. His cardio just seems to slow just a touch in the third. And again, he's a former 135-pounder. I know he was on record saying that weight was very, very, very hard for him to make. So I understand him going up to 45. It's just he's a little bit of a small 45er, and Charles Jourdain is not. He's pretty decently sized for 145. So if Jourdain has a little more volume and is able to keep this on the feet, I think it's Jourdain all day. If Wood is able to take him down and control him, I think it's Wood all day. It's a matter of what happens here, and I think the size is going to matter for Jourdain and help him out here. So the pick is going to be Charles, and the bet's going to end up being Charles. Next fight of the night is one that should not be on the main card, or honestly shouldn't be on the card at all. We have Jarno Aarons as a plus 175 dog against William Gomez at minus 220. Over under not set yet, as this was just thrown and announced on the card. These kids aren't very good. Jarno is actually from Paris. That's the only reason he's on the card. I believe he's friends and trains with Don as well, so they just wanted him on the card for a hometown appeal. He's not good. His wrestling's pretty decent. His striking leaves a little to be desired. He's just very, very fast. He's very athletic. He's very young. And he fights very, very green. I'm telling you, the last few fights I watched, all he does is grapple, and I mean he's okay at it. He's just out athleticing guys in the regional scene, and that's not going to work in the UFC. I really don't have much to say about him. If you touch him, he does have a tendency to back up as well. His jiu-jitsu's okay. You see him with a few ground and pounds and submissions on his record. All in all, he's not a terrible fighter. It's just he's 25 and it's a little early for him. On the flip side, you have Jarno Aarons, who also is kind of young, making his UFC debut. He's 27 years old. His striking's definitely better than Gomez. His cardio seems pretty good. It seems to check out. He's pretty active, man. He fights a lot. He's fighting every 4 months, it looks like. Every 4 months, this dude is fighting. 4 months apart, 4 months apart, 4 months apart, 4 months apart. Yeah, he fights every 4 months, literally. So he's pretty active. His jiu-jitsu's okay. He's going to need it to go against Gomez. You can get him on his back and stick him there. His get-up game is not the greatest. And Gomez is going to come in and try to take him down, hence him being the large favorite. I just don't think that this fight should be on the main card. I don't think either one of these guys are UFC level at this point, but they're fighting each other, and I think it's a coin flip fight. So like the Contender Series, I'm just going to take the dog with the big value. Again, both these guys are bad. They're fighting each other. It's 50-50, but one of them has a plus 175 next to their name. Give me that guy. So the pick is going to be Jarno. The bet is going to be Jarno, and just risk it if you want. All right, next fight of the night is one that has me just very, very confused. We have John Makdessi at plus 175 going up against Nasrat Haqparast at minus 225. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 210. Under 2.5 at plus 170. Let's start with Makdessi. I don't think he's very good either. He's pretty decent striking. He should not be a lightweight. He should honestly be like a bantamweight, a featherweight at the least. He has pretty good volume. He does like to back up and just counter you. My problem with him is Haqparast isn't going to shoot a takedown, so the wrestling and the jiu-jitsu isn't become a factor. It's going to be a sheer striking it fight. My issue with Makdessi is the fact that he's 37 years old and might be getting a little chinny here. I'm looking at his last loss was by decision, which is good, but Venata knocked him out. Donald Cerrone knocked him out. God, I guess that's it. I thought it was worse, honestly. Dennis Hallman, that's not the greatest loss. Anthony Njokuani, eesh. Ellen Patrick, eesh. Yancy Medeiros, eesh. That was a stand-up fight. Not a fan there. All in all, he's just 37. He used to train at TriStar, where Nasrat is now. So I know this is another one where they used to fight each other all the time. Nasrat fights pretty similarly to Makdessi, just predominantly striking. It's very good. Good volume as well. He's only 27 years old, and we see him getting better. He'll have a 4-inch reach advantage in this fight, which could be clutch. He likes to move forward, and again, Makdessi likes to back up and counter, so that'll be interesting. And he's pretty boxing heavy, where Makdessi will throw in some kicks along the way. I just don't like that Haqparast throws a lot of 1-2s, and that's it. He doesn't throw a lot of long combinations or anything by any means. And he's been getting murdered his last few fights. They're pretty good competition. I mean, Drew Dober, Dan Hooker, Bobby Green, all good fighters. Marcin Held, just not great. He should have won at least one of those. I don't know, man. I think Nasrat is the better fighter at this stage and age. I think he should win the fight. But we just talked about Buckley fighting Duraev. They fight each other. One says they used to kill them in the training room. The other one still accepts the fight and says they have something for him. I think we might see Buckley 2.0. Now, I did win money with Makdessi his last fight against Bahamondes. I do think that it's going to be tough for Lightning to strike twice. But if it does, and I didn't bet it, I would be annoyed with myself. So the pick is going to be Nasrat, but the bet is actually going to be Makdessi, because that's where the true value lies. Then the next fight of the night is one that we can fly through because it is not very good. Roman Kopylov, minus 115. Alessio Di Chirico, minus 115. Straight pick 'em, over 2.5, minus 180. Under 2.5, plus 145. Which one let's start with Roman Kopylov first. He is okay striking, but very low volume. He's very hittable. You can back him up. He does not like to get hit. His takedown defense is all right. It technically shows 83%, but again, Duraev was able to take him down, and Carl Roberson's the only other fighter, and he even took him down and submitted him. That doesn't look good. Roman's cardio does not look good. His wrestling, not really that great. His jiu-jitsu, not good to get tapped out by Carl Roberson. So he's not good. Roman Kopylov is not good at all. But on the flip side, he's fighting Alessio Di Chirico, who also is not good. His volume's all right. His wrestling was more existent previously. It's not as much now. His striking is all right. I don't know, man. His takedown defense is good, but that doesn't matter against Kopylov. So it's going to come down to, is Di Chirico going to be able to survive on the feet? Because Roman does hit decently hard, and or is Alessio able to take down Kopylov? I will probably say he will eventually. He's not going to get the first one, but if he can keep him there, he's good to go. Otherwise, I don't know, man. He doesn't have the greatest wins on his record. He lost to Eric Spicely. That I don't know if I can ever bet a man that lost to Eric Spicely. That's not a good look. I don't know. They both suck. They should probably both be cut by the UFC, but at least Jericho has a little bit of wrestling and will try it. So the pick is going to be Alessio. The bet is Alessio, but I would suggest this is the one fight on the card where you just stay the hell away from. Do not risk it. Do not put anything on anyone. The next fight on the flip side, you put all the money on Bobby Knuckles, Robert the Reaper Whitaker at minus 245, went up against Marvin Vettori at plus 185. Over under set at 2.5, over 2.5 minus 280, under 2.5 plus 220. Let's start with Whitaker because I think he's phenomenal. He's the former champ, good cardio, great striking, great wrestling, good jiu-jitsu, moves forward, blitzes a ton. I want to say he's durable, but that part's a little sketchy. This volume checks out. There's nothing bad about him besides the fact that he's been in a ton of wars and might be just a touch chinny. We look at the Izzy Adesanya fight, the second one. I thought Whitaker won. I know it shows unanimous decision for Izzy. I know it was a pretty boring fight, but I thought Whitaker did enough to win, in all honesty. And I had money on him, so obviously I was a little biased, but I think he won that fight. Before that, Kevin Gastelum dropped him, but he was able to go out there and finish it. Jared Cannonier dropped him, but he was able to go ahead and finish it. Darren Till dropped him, but he was able to go ahead and finish it. Israel Adesanya did knock him out in the first one, but again, that was a 50-50 fight on the feet up until he got clipped. Yoel Romero dropped him. Yoel Romero in the first one dropped him. So, like, he gets dropped in every single fight. He's always rocked once, and then he wakes up and he's fine and he's good to go when he wins these fights. That's what he does. It's a little scary. It puts you on the edge of your seat, but it is what it is. Also, in regards to his wrestling, the only way Vettori wins this fight is by lay and pray. Whitaker has only been taken down by Yoel Romero and by Souza in the UFC. So I think actually there might have been one more. Romero, Souza. Oh, he got taken down in his very, very first UFC fight against Brad Scott. But again, that was his very first fight. That was at welterweight, and that was in 2012, so 10 years ago. So in the last 10 years that he's been in the UFC, he's been taken down by effectively 3 men: an Olympian, someone in his very first fight, and by Souza, who's a pretty decent wrestler and was ranked very high at the time. So Whitaker is very, very good. It's just he might have a possible chin issue. On the flip side, Vettori has one knockout in his entire career, so he's not exactly a knockout threat, which favors Whitaker here. Vettori has good cardio, he has good striking, he has okay wrestling, okay jiu-jitsu, he's durable as all hell and moves forward. All in all, he has the same characteristics. Only difference is he's very, very durable. He's another one of these guys I just don't think you can physically knock out. But he's definitely a lot slower than Whitaker. They'll probably have a size advantage, even though Whitaker's talking about going to 205. I think Vettori's the bigger man, but I think he's bigger and slower. I don't think he's going to be able to just go out there and grapple fuck Robert and take him down. And Robert was a former champ for a reason. Vettori does nothing wrong. I think Vettori's top 5 in the division. But I think Whitaker is 1A. I think Israel Adesanya and Whitaker are 1A, 1B. And at worst, you could say Whitaker is the third best fighter in that weight class at worst. So we're looking at like 3 versus 5. Give me 3 all day. The pick is going to be Robert. The bet is going to be Robert. And that takes us to the main event. If you made it this long, make sure you hit that like button, give a subscribe, follow over on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere there is. Make sure you give a follow. And that takes us again to Tuivasa at plus 375. Tai Tuivasa against Cyril Gane at minus 600. Over under set at 2.5. Over 2.5 minus 125. Under 2.5 minus 105. Let's start with Gane because he's phenomenal, man. Gane is a very good, very, very good striker. He's very, very fast, hits decently hard. His jiu-jitsu's okay. You'll see a toe hold finish on his record against Don Helmays, heel hook against Don Helmays, arm triangle against Pessoa. He has decent ground game. His very first fight was won by front choke. All in all, great striking is what he's known for. His cardio checks out. He will have an 8-inch reach advantage here. He will be the larger man, and he'll have more volume. All in all, he's just the better fighter everywhere this fight goes. He's the better striker. He's the better wrestler. He's the better jiu-jitsu practitioner. He has the better cardio. How does Tai win? Like physically, how does Tai win? Tai is just a short, stocky power puncher. And you know, Gane did not get knocked out by the hardest puncher in the world in Francis Ngannou. Gane did not get knocked out by a carbon copy of Tai Tuivasa and Derek Lewis. Alexander Volkov couldn't do anything to him. Jairzinho Rozenstruik is another short, stocky power puncher. Gane was able to walk through him. All of these fights were extremely boring. He played it extremely safe, but he also got the job done and got the W. On the flip side, Tai Tuivasa, all he has is a puncher's chance. He has, again, pretty decent volume for a heavyweight, deceptively fast, no jiu-jitsu whatsoever, no cardio. He will physically be gassed by the end of round 3. No wrestling. He's effectively never gotten a takedown in the UFC. I think he had only attempted one, and that was against Augusto Sakai. But he packs a punch, man. He hits very, very hard. Another one of these Australian rugby players. Great winning streak right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fight winning streak. He was on the brink of getting cut. If he lost to Stefan Struve, he was getting cut. Instead, he's 1 fight away from a title fight. So what a miraculous turnaround. At the end of the day, though, Stefan Struve was a pretty close fight. Then he knocked him out with 1 second left. Harry Hunsucker is one of the worst fighters I've ever seen in my life. I was able to run through him. Greg Hardy beat the shit out of Tai Tuivasa, ran in for the kill and got caught. So Tai did a little bit of a rope-a-dope. Next fight against Augusto Sakai is a pretty close fight. Tai got rocked a little bit and then was able to catch Sakai and get the job done. Derek Lewis was able to rock Kai in the first round, was able to do a little rope-a-dope and then get Derek Lewis out of there. So at the end of the day, these people, it's not as if Tai is invincible on a huge run. He keeps getting rocked. He keeps getting chin checked. He keeps getting almost put away. Someone rushes in and then they get knocked the fuck out. Gane doesn't do that. Gane does not care if the crowd is booing. And you know what? It's in Gane's hometown of Paris, France. Gane is the A side here. Gane is the one that will, even in a close decision for whatever reason, get the win contingent on where he's from. The crowd probably won't boo if he's winning because he's from there. So at the end of the day, the decks are, every card is stacked against Tai Tuivasa, and I just don't think he has enough talent to win this fight. Gane is better. Gane wins this fight 9 times out of 10. Just the one time is Tai Tuivasa catches him. So I don't think that happens on Saturday. So the pick is going to be gone. The bet is going to be gone. And that's UFC Paris Gane versus Tuivasa. Again, make sure you give everything a like and a follow. It's not the greatest card in the world, and it's really, really tough to bet, but it's what we do. It's the nature of the beast, and we're going to do everything we can to still make money, baby. Let's get it.